there are these desires to see no saviors, but Black folks, and I'm saying Black folks because that's obviously the work that we're doing right now, but Black folks saving Black folks. Like, it's us in there. It's not somebody coming from outside of our space, outside of our family, outside of our community to come in here. Come on, I'll save y'all. But it's us getting a chance to save ourselves, and funders who are deeply committed to the people being impacted, becoming empowered enough to become their own saviors.
Welcome to The Soul of Capital, Models for a Just Economy, the podcast that introduces you to alternative economic models and the change makers leading them. See yourself in the entrepreneurs, financial activists, and thought leaders, creating an inclusive, sustainable, and equitable economy for all. I'm your host, Naya Hawkins. Let's get started. In this episode, we speak to Victoria Jones, Executive Director of Memphis-based arts organization Tone. She is also one of the changemakers leading a $50 million plan to redevelop Orange Mound Tower, transforming an abandoned 10-acre industrial site on the southeast side of town into a mixed-use arts and live-work space. Take a listen. Talk about what you're doing with Orange Mound Tower. What is that? What is your vision?
Absolutely. So Orange Mound Tower is a 215-foot high rise sitting on about 10 acres of space, surrounded by 80,000 square feet of warehouse space. And it's just a massive, currently blighted property that we've begun to reimagine as a hub for Black innovation. So we've built out this big dream of what it could look like to use art and culture as a battery pack to a property development project that brings people together, that's supported by a few different pillars. So we got art and culture, obviously, but health and wellness, food and agriculture, and small business incubation and adult education, excuse me. And so all those things coming together, and not just Tone doing it, right? Our work is like to hopefully act as connector and convener so that this project across the street can happen, but then bringing in all types of partners and Black leaders that are doing phenomenal work in these other sectors and fields to figure out together how we build out this kind of landmark opportunity for small Black business owners, Black creatives, Black communities, and just trying to make it shake from there. But like, there's a true opportunity for us to build out this hub in a way that is all about Black wellness, Black joy, and really center in on completing that work alongside our partners, alongside our ancestors, our community, and zeroing in on back on the economic side, like how we can be partnering with the local CDC. So the Orange Mound CDC is one of our big partners in this. And we've been working also on what community ownership could look like in this space as well, so that we can be not an island, some standalone, really cool, hip space, but an actual active benefit to the neighborhood around. And like just figuring out with the CDC how community ownership could show up. We've got another partner, Xavier Freedom out of Oakland, is going to help us really identify the community ownership model that best suits Orange Mound and the needs of the people and business owners here, so that we can be partnering this really, really unique development opportunity with community impact and neighborhood development as a whole.
Talk about your origin story and why you are the person to do this work.
Like my own personal origin story?
Yeah, you're the change maker.
Yeah, okay. I come from a nice long lineage of, real strong Black women. And of that lineage, my grandmother, Andronetta Hawkins Jones, she was an activist in Memphis long before I was even a thought in my mama's mind, and did a lot of work around getting Black folks opportunities to have storefront, like Black business owners, storefronts and stuff downtown Memphis, because at the time we were just kind of excluded from the development of downtown. her and my grandfather participated in marches and a few other things. But by the time I did make it into this universe, my grandmother had moved in with my parents to kind of help take care of me and my sister. And so we were living, my folks are in the, or were in the military. And so we moved around a whole lot. But in this particular trip, we were stationed in Virginia Beach. And while we were there, she took us to, I can't even think of the title of it, the Civil Rights Museum that's closest to Virginia. And she was really the first person to introduce me to the understanding of Blackness. So we went to that Civil Rights Museum. It was mortifying. It was quite scary to me as I was like 6, 7 years old. And like on the walk in, it's modeled after like the bottom of a slave ship. And so it's all these crates and stuff with these wax figurines of enslaved Black folks, and then the surround sound of the moaning and crying. I was a little one, and I don't remember that much from being a child, but I remember that because how deeply it scared me, and really came to understand like the struggle and perseverance that our people have had since we've touched down in this universe, but also just like what it took to get over here and survive all of that. And the funnier part, I guess, when I got to kindergarten, the next day, like let's say we went on a Saturday, that Monday, end up attacking my teacher on some like, I know what you did to us. So yeah, been ready to fight for a while, just kind of refine the skills and understanding a little bit more as I've grown up. But that same grandmother, Andronetta, she's since passed, but my very first year of life, she kind of marked all of Memphis history within a scrapbook. But at the front of it is a letter that said that she had done what she could do in her lifetime, and that she's leaving the baton for me to carry on some like, remember your responsibility. Don't ever forget your responsibility to your people. And so it's been something that I didn't know necessarily early on how to make happen, but something I knew, was going to be a part of the story regardless. And so after graduating college, I had also in college found like art spoke to me in a very, very special way, and like it was the thing that brought me to life. And so after college, just trying to figure out where I could find this combination. And at the time it didn't exist. It was either Black like social justice organizations or art organizations that cater to predominantly white audiences. But I applied to every art job I could find and every kind of social justice NAACP type job. And there were a few like Black theater companies and stuff too that I applied to, but ended up getting a job at Crosstown Arts, which is a white gallery in Midtown turned huge property development. But while I was there, very first show I worked was a guy, Lester Merriweather, brilliant Black visual artist. And so all of it started just trying to get some Black folks in there to talk about the show. Because all day long, it was white people coming in. And I just wanted somebody to talk about the exhibition with. So I was inviting my cousins and different artists I knew from the city. And then kind of grew from there, like how can we be utilizing the resources Crosstown has available, because wow, what an abundant set of resources they got. And it tumbled from there. We saw the opportunity in community building in that type of work. We saw the opportunity for liberation in that type of work, connectivity, love, all types of stuff. And so it quickly grew past what we could do for Crosstown and more what we could do for our people in using storytelling as the engine and force behind our work. And so, I don't know, the evolution of that understanding has grown into like, we have all types of nonprofits in the city. Like we got all types of service providers in the city. But what I have come, and obviously I'm a little biased, but what I've come to understand and believe is art and culture is cracking people open quicker than anything else. And like before you can get someone to be reimagined in the future, like there's got to be some kind of hope for something different, some kind of imagining or willing to experiment or try something new. And to me, and what I've witnessed, art does that differently than any other sector, any other experience. It's just that initial way to get into a heart and a soul and an energy of a people to where we can begin to imagine new futures, one where we're not looking for saviors, one where we're saving ourselves and naming ourselves. And so that's
okay. This is good. Say more about artists as a pathway to economic reinvention?
Ooh, okay. So something about art and like intersection of like economics means that we don't have to do what we've already seen 1,000 times, because what we do know is like these economic infrastructure systems set in place right now just ain't meant to serve us. Like there are ways we're finding loopholes in to make it work, but overall, like it is not for the betterment or well-being of Black folks. And so what does it mean for artists and creatives to begin to imagine on a blank canvas what new communities looks like, what resource sharing looks like, and then build a community and a space off of that? It feels very much like, let me not say very much because we ain't all the way there, but I'm thinking a parable of the sower, and all the ways that them folks had to come together to imagine a new community and a new space. And I feel like what I'm witnessing in Memphis and being like blessed to be a part of is like art. This very unique Black arts movement is creating all types of opportunities for us to be exploring what that economic, that like new, brand new, shiny, brand new economic infrastructure could look like. It's like us over here in the property development space, but then we got Big We and Southern Shift deeply embedded in the restorative economic space. There are so many, and with Memphis being so Black, big blessings in that, but like so many Black owned properties in the city, so many so many properties that are owned by Black arts organizations, to where we're even being able to participate in the reimagining of neighborhoods and the development of neighborhoods in a way where in places I've been, it feels very unique to this city. And so, man, yeah, it's like the initial, like, get just kind of getting if we're thinking like planting seeds and growing crops, like the initial getting the ground ready, plowing, getting the weeds out, like whatever, like getting that earth ready for seeds. That to me is what the arts can do. Black arts specifically, the Black arts movement in Memphis, most especially.
I mean, yeah, you listed some really awesome organizations of Black creatives that are working in the property, real estate, community economic development space. Where do you think that intersection of skill set and tools is coming from?
If you got a whole bunch of Black folks who have had to make a whole lot of something out of nothing, and they all coming together to figure out how to build a new world, a new future, like yeah, it's going to be unseen progress made in really quick time in really innovative ways. Like there's no way around that. Like we talk about grit and grind, we talk about hustle, all this stuff in Memphis, and like even in just the art sector, I can name like countless examples of young Black creatives who, because of the lack of infrastructure here, had to leave. But as soon as they leave, in New York, LA, like finding quick, almost immediate success, because the people here, they don't get the benefit from infrastructure, but that doesn't mean the creativity is dying. So they're getting really creative with how the resources are being shared, with the spaces they're creating, with the programs that they're creating. And so the folks who have decided to stay behind, who've dedicated themselves to building out this space in Memphis, like it's just that legacy of I wish I had something less cheesier to say than grit and grind, but for real, like that ain't the little motto for the city for no reason. And so imagine a bunch of young Black folks dedicated to ideas of liberation and freedom, with incredible innovation and creativity. Because we've got these Black spaces, like we're finding different and unique ways to get in there and imagine and experiment. Because I think that's something that's be missing sometimes. We want to do this really great and incredible work, but we end up in white spaces, and that is going to just dictate a different type of imagination. Where I know, at least for me, when and I went to predominantly white schools for a lot of my upbringing too. Like there was a line of perfection that I had to stay on. It wasn't about how imaginative I could be, how innovative I could be. It was how good I could do in whatever standards they had set. But in these Black spaces, there's a new opportunity for experimentation, trying something you ain't never tried before. And you got folks like different partners, whether they're programmatic partners or funding partners, that are emerging right now too, that are inviting that experimentation and saying, ain't nothing wrong with stumbling or even tripping and falling. Like we understand that that's a part of the innovation process. And in that space, like where you got partners and supporters who understand that innovation and experimentation require, like that does not exist without some semblance of failure, and we just committed to getting back up, like, yeah, that's when it starts to feel kind of limitless, I think.
Like you're making progress. I mean, permission to fail is integral to any effort of progression and development. Say more about the support for economic change that you're seeing from funders and investors.
Ooh. Locally, I can't lie to you. Locally, I'm not seeing a lot of change. And then as arts organizations kind of almost seem to cringe if we start talking about economics, because they're like, who are y'all to be mentioning economics to us type of thing. Um, but some of our national funding partners have been really, really supportive in the ways that we're trying to reimagine um, our like economy, Black arts economy, shared economy in the neighborhood, like all of that, especially as we're starting to thinking about property ownership and development. But there is, I don't know, that to me is what right now, at least in the kind of tunnel vision I've got, what dictates a strong partner or a not so aligned partner.
Let me ask you this. Say more
Mhm.
about the difference in values. What is the difference in what they
Yeah.
value that
Um,
is leading them to invest and to support?
there are these desires to see no saviors, but Black folks, and I'm saying Black folks because that's obviously the work that we're doing right now, but Black folks saving Black folks. Like, it's us in there. It's not somebody coming from outside of our space, outside of our family, outside of our community to come in here. Come on, I'll save y'all. But it's us getting a chance to save ourselves, and funders who are deeply committed to the people being impacted, becoming empowered enough to become their own saviors. From like the national funding landscape, I've seen a lot of really incredible support on the, like, especially like in the restorative economy space. Like, there have been workshops and opportunities to dive in on stuff, and folks who, like, if you can name and prove like that's a part of your strategy, coming in to support that specific part of the strategy. We've had all types of one-on-ones. We've had workshops. I'm sitting in on the Big We Foundation Southern Shift, and we're talking about it every month. It's like, it's just this incredible community that's getting built around this new understanding of how we can be sharing resources, how we can be lifting each other up at the same time. That I've watched create, like, I'm watching it manifest new partnerships and collaborations, because it's for once taken us out of the space where we have to fight each other, or the ways that some approaches to philanthropy can feel like it's one or the other. Like, it feels like this really unique and exciting opportunity where we're able to lift up how we're working together as actually the benefit of a part of our work. And then obviously, on the financial side, like, I think of our largest capacity building grants, they are all dedicated to that type of work. Like, each one is coming to the table naming that as a core mission or value. And so it's been really, again, I don't want, I'm trying to find new words, but affirming is the most, I think, impactful one right here, because that's what it's been. Like, obviously, financially, it is like, wow, we got money to pay people in a real way. We got money to go to conferences. We got money, like, there are these things that we can just now do that we couldn't before. Like, we wasn't going to conferences, and not because we didn't want to learn, but because travel and stay, when people were still trying to figure out how to put gas in their car and feed themselves, like, it just was not, we couldn't prioritize that. And then similarly, like getting folks the wages they need to make sure they rent paid and they got food in the fridge and all that, like, that's all of that's relatively new for us. And the folks who've come in to make that possible are all doing it with the understanding that we're trying to build a new community, a new economy, a new opportunity for sharing resources, getting art and culture to the people, health and wellness, food and act, like, it's just so much.
What do you think makes this so unique? There are other, whether you call it a region or neighborhoods across the United States in, major cities that are blighted, where manufacturing has declined or where people have moved out. What makes it unique there?
First, we talking about the blackest city, right? And I know other folks saying they got, but for me, Memphis, blackest city. And then we in the first neighborhood founded not just for Black folks, but by Black folks in the nation. And so this very unique opportunity where it's already so deeply Black. And also where we're thinking like what I understand about my lineage and the lineage of quite a few other folks in Memphis, like as people were leaving the plantations, Memphis was one of the first stops. Like when we getting out of Mississippi and a few other places, like folks are traveling through and to Memphis. And so we've got this really still deep connection to that and Orange Mound itself. Like that Orange Mound was a plantation. And this neighborhood, the businesses, the roads, the schools, like it was built by that first generation out of slavery. And so there's this wonderful legacy of just perseverance, of building, of community that already exists that we get to bleed into, that we get to hopefully carry the torch a little further on. And so that on its own landmark. But then I think the North likes to think like, oh, we figured it out, blah, blah, blah. Like that's just not real. And until like the harm and the trauma that was caused in the Deep South is reckoned with, the rest of the country can't move anyways. And so believing deeply within my spirit and the entire like mission behind Tone, like that the Memphis has the opportunity to be one of those really powerful beacons in the South, like how we can be thinking about art and culture and how it relates to that healing work in a way that we can be interconnected with a bunch of our Southern cousins and aunts and like all the way across. And so I think imagining a project this innovative in the South is a model and could be a model for what's possible for other spaces in the South. And then when Black folks have done the healing and rebuilding they need to in the South, it feels to me like anything could be possible in the country. Right now, for me, it looks like the goalpost outside of the South sometimes is like infiltrating and existing within these old white systems. But down south, especially in Memphis, there's an opportunity for us to build our own table, our own system, our own infrastructure. And so while the absence of infrastructure for Black artists and creatives has not existed and has caused some harm and folks to leave, it also means that we've got a blank canvas. It means that we can build our own infrastructure and we don't have to pry our way into someone else's. And so to have this many Black folks to then be also beginning to gain the attraction of some national funding partners, and that's not just Tone, that is, I'm watching organizations in the trenches with us, like getting highlighted by these other national spaces. And then really truly understanding that the reckoning work that the nation needs has to start in the South. Like there is no way around that. And so what happens when Black folks in the South are actually healing, actually getting space to create and imagine, and yeah, it's limitless. And so I think that's what makes the space itself unique. And then the timing also makes this opportunity unique. We're watching. It's like these rickety, shameful, traumatic systems around us are crumbling slowly, but we're watching them like, find their way on out. And so it's like this really beautiful opportunity to build the thing that stands past that calls the people home and gives us the space to continue to build on whatever is imagined here in this moment.
What's your biggest obstacle that you're facing right now?
So where we are with the tower, we have completed all of our pre-development work. And the obstacle right now is finding the funder that's like, all right, I see it, let's go. Like we've got a lot who are excited about it and willing to, like I named, invest in the capacity building to help grow the organization to get us there. But that big next step is a multi-million-dollar next step. And finding the partner that's one, not looking for anything other than what we doing, because I feel like some folks got some ideas on how we should do this that don't quite align with the new futures that we want to build. And also willing to take that step with us it's been a journey. It's not, and I think obstacle is the biggest word I'll use for it, because anything past that, I know we finna overcome it. It feels very much like here we are in this moment, just trying to see who finna be first. And so I think that is a part. And then honestly, this might be more on the feeling side than the like business side, but the fear and doubt that can come in this moment, the who am I to do this thing? Who are we to imagine that we could do this thing? Like that part's hard. When you ain't never seen nothing like what you trying to build, and when you are coming out of a lifetime of oppression, like, and being convinced that somehow you are lesser than those around you, it takes a little while to convince yourself that no, this is this is on my heart and spirit for a reason. It is to be followed through. But I'm telling you, like, at this stage in the game, sleep is hard to come by. And not just because I be busy, but it's like that having to deeply invest in my own spiritual practices and emotional well-being just to one withstand the daily kind of obstacles that come with operating in a space that ain't always ready to do the things because we ain't had the resources to do it. But also, it's okay that I've never seen it done. It's okay that most of the tables I have to sit at, I'm the only one black and woman. It's okay that I'm having to do an extra demanding for respect. Like, not that it's okay, like this is fine, but okay, like I can survive it. I'll make it through it. But reminding myself daily that this is to be survived. So we are going to be in another place, a new place. That's a real obstacle. And I be having a hard time. Maybe my ego has a hard time giving anybody else power to even be an obstacle in that way. But right now, because I know once I and the team and other people around me lock in on what they know is possible and what they can accomplish, it ain't nothing that can stop us. But having to remind myself daily that just because it ain't been done don't mean it can't be done.
That is beautifully, beautifully said. What do you wish that funders, supporters, that people would ask you that they have not?
That's an interesting question.
Or I guess a better way to
First
say it
one,
would, go ahead.
let me hear. What's the other way you want to say it?
Oh, just what is it that you want to communicate more to
Mhm.
funders, to other economic change makers, to other creatives?
I think those are going to be a little different than what I would communicate to funders to what I would communicate to my fellow change makers. I think on the funder side, it's that continued, like the same way that we're having to show up with the courage to do this work every day, meeting and connecting with funders who are willing to meet us in that courageous space and continue to fund the work, even when like it might, oh, here's a place where it messed up or I don't all the way, but like that is where the change is going to happen. Investing in new ideas, investing in innovative approaches. It ain't going to be funding the same thing that's been funded for however long up until this point. It'll be those, wow, this is interesting. Wow, I've never seen this before. That's going to be the stuff that's going to change the world. And then I think to the fellow change makers, just on that continued thought of fear and doubt, what I have had to learn and what I'm hoping we all are holding on to is like that fear is going to be there sometimes. And it's just our work to like do the thing anyways. And so hoping that all my fellow folks are just continuing to work even when they are scared. And I think that's the only thing that can stop us is if we're giving up. And so don't give up. And the cheesiest line, I wish I had something more profound, but like, no, just please keep going. The people need us. We need each other. We need ourselves. And
What's your next big thing?
Well, our next big thing, um, we do have a meeting coming up that we're very hopeful for. And if it goes well, we will be able to begin the design phase of the property development for Orange Mound Tower. We've already gotten connected with a really brilliant architect, Jermaine Barnes, who is doing incredible work. He's based in Miami, but is from Chicago and still deeply connected to his roots and his people in a way that informs his design, and just excited to begin schematic designs with him. And again, if the meeting goes well, then we'll be positioned to be able to get all the way through to construction documents. And so if we can do all that, I maybe ambitiously to the point where it is naive, but I don't mind being a little naive. If we can do that by August, I genuinely believe that we'll be able to break ground for the tower this year. And so that's my big hope and big goal, big up next. for this year. And then the team themselves, like really truly watching us kind of form into, again, that organization that can operate the tower across the street programmatically, innovation wise, like that the ideas are big enough to fill that big space, that the imaginings are going to be big enough to fill that big space. So I'm watching our team kind of grow into that in a real way. So continuing to watch that happen and watch our team expand and grow and in their understanding and imagination and experimentation and willingness to take chances.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for speaking with me, Victoria Jones, Executive Director of Memphis-based arts organization Tone. You can find out more about this innovative organization at tonememphis.org. Before we wrap up, I'd like to extend a special thanks to the Ambitious Initiative at the Center for Cultural Innovation for supporting our mission and for making this podcast possible. Ambitious encourages the creation of an economy that works for everyone, where philanthropy is led from the front line and impact-first investing is the norm. To learn more about the incredible work Ambitious does, please visit cciarts.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue amplifying the voices of changemakers. Thank you for joining me, Naya Hawkins, on The Soul of Capital. Remember to see yourself in the entrepreneurs, financial activists, and thought leaders, creating an inclusive, sustainable, and equitable economy for all. Until next time.